or you may not know, this platform is really designed to engage young people, youth, transition age youth, from the age of 13 to about 22, 23, but also parents as well, because we want to be able to share lessons, share experiences, so that we can bridge any gap that may exist in the life of a young person. There's a term I learned not too long ago. It's called exposure gap, and it sounds real simple, but it was such a wow factor when I heard it, because a lot of times, depending on your walk of life, there may be things that you were not exposed to that creates a gap in your development. Like, you may not ever been exposed to going on a vacation from the East Coast to the West Coast. That's an exposure gap. How you doing, Vernita? Thank you for tuning in. Please hit like and share. So that's an exposure gap for you. Or you may not have ever had the experience of going to Six Flags or a theme park. You don't know what that's like. That's an exposure gap. Or, what I mean, you never had the opportunity, to own a vehicle or get your license or practice driving with your family. Again, that's an exposure gap. But I got who I call an expert with me today. Been, in the trenches for some time, man. A dear friend of mine, brings to the table a lot of knowledge, a wealth of knowledge in different areas. I typically don't introduce my guests. I allow them to toot their own horn. So, without further ado, I'm going to allow Chamaco Bryant to introduce himself.
What's up, JJ? Coach J.
Yeah,
you let you tonight, man, wear a hat for two reasons. Because you have a hat on most of the time. So I am yours truly, Chamaco Bryant. I have worked with kids. My first job in the school system, I was 19. I started working with kids and at the age of 19, and I've been doing it for over 20 years. I love working with children, especially teenagers, as relates to helping them develop and become good citizens and self-sufficient. So yeah, now I am a counselor, care pastor. I still work with kids and all types of people. So I'm very interested and excited about working with you tonight, man, and talking about some things that can help the youth transition and become successful in this world.
Now you dropped a real nugget there. We have what we call on the show like the CoachJ moments, like these nuggets, right? And you just shared a nugget. You said that you really like to help young adults become self-sufficient. And that's what these videos is about. These live sessions are about, to really hone in on those life skills, those exposure gaps, to allow young people to really be self-sufficient in many aspects, in many domain areas of their life. I like to look at life from those domain areas, and I talked about it a bit on last night. You got education, housing, health, relationships, identity, finance, employment, and life skills. When you look at those domains, that really cover, holistically, your entire life, so to speak. You could probably add in some more like spirituality and things of that nature. And if you look at all of those as a parent and build on those, like, you could really set your child up for success as they transition out of your home. So that was a great nugget. So let's jump in and get started, man. The title of this live tonight is Transactional Communication, because this is what I realized. Let me ask you this before we jump in there. I'm gonna talk about transactional communication. I'm gonna ask you some few questions and we're gonna jump in it.
Okay.
First of all, transactional communication is not just talking. Like, transactional communication, it is intended for you to communicate with a goal and an outcome in mind. And there's 4 points to lift up, or 4 items to consider when you're engaging in a transactional conversation or communication. That's create, form, shape, or engage.
Okay.
Right? And so most of the time, I think we get in the habit of just talking, right? Just so let me ask you this question based on what I just said. Do you feel like What do you feel like can benefit a young person more? Talking to them or communicating with them?
That's a good question. Talking to them, or well, I would say communicating with them because communication has to do with two parties. Communication is dual. That is, I say something to you, you say something back to me, and I found out a lot of times we're talking to this generation, and to younger kids or the youth. If you're talking at them or talking to them a lot, they'll tend to give you a deaf ear, or they'll tend to just listen to you but not communicate back. So I feel like talking and communication is key because when they talk back to you, you know where they are. You
Yeah,
know how you can assist them in bringing them to where they need to be. But if they're just sitting there quiet, you know where they are.
right. I would even go further to like really say like talking to somebody, especially youth, is kind of lame, to be honest, right? Because like you said, having a conversation and being a communicator, you understand that there's two people having a conversation and having an exchange.
Right.
And even with transactional communication, it's more of like versus looking at it like this, is more of like a circle. And as I was doing some studying on it, it was so cool because if you're a good communicator, it's bigger than just what you hear coming out of somebody's mouth.
Absolutely.
Like I'm reading body language, I'm reading energy. So even when you are saying something and I'm listening, I still got all of this other things going on that I'm picking up besides what you're saying.
So true. I'm gonna tell you this one thing that I, and I'm a little old school, so I realize I'm old school. But I remember when I was working with some of my youth that when I was trying to get them to see a point, I wouldn't even talk to them over the telephone. I would
Mm,
drive to their location, especially if it's a serious matter. I would drive to their location so I can watch their what you just pointed out, uh, their mannerisms, the way their posture. They let you know if you're really listening. And even as the classes I've taken in school, I
yeah,
realized that you only pay attention to maybe 20% of what someone say to you.
yeah,
The rest is how they're interacting with you in their body language.
right.
Yeah. So that really tells the true communication.
Yeah, and I believe if we as parents start to have these transactional interaction and conversations with our young people, it'll because they need that. They need that communication ability in this advanced and progressive world that we live in now. Because the art of communication, I believe, will keep them safe. And let me explain. So let's say because but we used to use this back in the juvenile correction world, what they call verbal judo. It's really crisis intervention de-escalation.
Okay.
And if I'm a good communicator, I can talk myself to safety. I can talk myself out of a situation and get somewhere else and keep myself safe. If I'm a good communicator, I've been in rooms with clients and I see when they get agitated before they speak agitatedly. You understand what I'm saying?
That's so true, man.
You see, and so if we work with our young kids, how valuable would that skill be for a young male or a young female to have in their toolbox? What are your thoughts on that?
Man, Josh, when you said that, I have so many thoughts. And so many times I had to do that working with my kids, and even had to teach my parents the same thing. Um, I remember one particular guy that was triggered very, very, very easily. And once he's triggered, I mean, he can go from cussing to taking something and beating the holes in the walls, and just destroying a house completely.
Yeah,
And I can tell that his mom took him there. And in his eyes, he went there, and I said, "Hey, listen, you know what? I found out that next week they're doing this at the mall.
yeah,
Let's take the trip to the mall." And it took him right off the track, right off track.
yeah,
Like, oh, okay. Or I said, "Hey, the Braves won last night, man. What you talking about that?" And I changed this. I changed the situation. What you just said, de-escalate. You
yeah,
can take the same thing and apply it to the youth, and they can find a way to de-escalate. Like, for instance, the black on the crimes that's happening in this world, the crimes that's happening with the police and the cops. There is a way. Granted, I don't believe that. How can I say this? I'm not saying that the cops are right, and I'm not saying that cops have a right to do what they do to our black males. However, we have a responsibility to handle ourselves properly.
Absolutely.
We can de-escalate a problem by how we communicate.
Cop
asks you, especially in this climate, if the cop asks you for your ID, there's no need of you popping off. If a cop asks you to do something, comply, because I'd rather comply and go home and go to sleep than be big-headed and then I sleep for eternity.
Right. And so this is again, so when we're talking about holding people accountable, I think what we first have to do, right, is make sure we've put tools in their toolbox for them to use. And this is what we're doing now, right? We're on this platform, it'll forever be etched in the cyber world for people to go back and watch. And lift up some of these tools to put in their toolbox when they're out there day to day doing what they do. And so just like when you had that interaction with that young man, you started to shape the conversation and took it a different way. Right? That was the outcome. You wanted to reshape what was going and send it a different way. You wanted to change the form of the conversation and send it a different way. And it takes a lot of skill to do that. And so the good part about this conversation for parents who have 8, 9-year-olds, 10, 11, even some of the older ones, is that you can start practicing this now with your children, with your teenagers, your adolescents, instead of like having that authoritative role, like you just do what I say because I said it. You can start sitting down and having a conversation that gives them strength, gives them empowerment, gives them conversation skills, and you still in the lead and you still the director, right? Because you know what you're doing. And there's an objective and art to your conversation, and not just, oh, I want you to clean up now, end of discussion.
You know what? You said a mouthful there. And I'm learning even with dealing with my 16-year-old son. A lot of times back in the day, how it was brought up, is you shut up, do what I say, and that's it. And I held that in my mind, in my heart, because that's just how I am. But dealing with my son and then this youth, I realized that does not always work well. I'm learning that communication is key. Not just talking at them, not just telling them what to do, but son, I told you yesterday to do blah, blah, blah. What happened that you didn't do it? Versus, I told you so and so and so, and go do it. I'm like, what happened that you didn't do it? And granted, the result may be the same. He's going to end up doing it. But I gave him a chance to express himself. I gave him a chance to talk. I gave him a chance for me to see where he is coming from. And then I'm like, well, this is what's going on. Whenever I tell you do so and so, I want you to do it because it's going to make me upset that you don't do this. And if you cannot do it, communicate me. Say, Dad, I can't do it because so and so and so, or I didn't do it because so and so. That's dialogue. That's communication. That is what you said earlier. Not communication, but conversation. There's no conversation if there's no communication.
Yeah. And so that skill you teaching him it translates outside of the home so well. And that's what I want parents to understand. Is that when you are in your home being a parent, like you're in coach mode, you're in training mode, and you are readying your pupil, your seed, to interact with the real world. And so changing your strategy to get the best out of their life and allow them to be the best person they can be in the real world, there's nothing wrong with that. You're not losing any power. And like Sherilyn said, sometimes you have to communicate using their language and what interests them, meet them where they are. And that's key. These young, they're doing different things. Like they own TikTok, they own their games, they own the internet, Instagram, they you know what I'm saying? They plugged into that world. And so as a parent, that model and mode that we grew up on, that's outdated. You like if you teaching your child on that level, like you probably really setting them up for failure, right? You setting them up to be abused because you You telling them if a male in their life and they start yelling and fussing, you better do what they say. That's what you telling them. You know, essentially, like you may not feel like that's what you're telling them, but that's what you could be planting in them. And you're not setting them up to be able to communicate how they feel, and they suppress that energy. So we want to we want our young people to be holistically strong.
Right.
That's my thing. I want our young people to be so empowered and so well rounded, especially with this right here, man. Because like before you can see how much money I got, how much education I got, what's the first thing that I'm gonna hit you with?
Right. How you talk, how you communicate, how you speak.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yeah. So my other question to you was, let me see, Shirley. She said I'm using that tactic now. Yeah. 5 and 2. That's early. That's early. It's not too early. So you been you worked as a job coach for some time. People don't know that, but I know that.
Yeah.
So you know what it is for a young person to be able to maintain employment. How vital is communication to a young person that's transitioning into adulthood, finna get their first apartment, first car, first this, first that, their first job? How vital is being able to communicate to a young person that's about to transition out of their mom's house or their father's house or their mom and dad's house?
It's as vital as life and death. It's as vital as eating and not eating. Being able to communicate properly. I'll tell my kids, I say kids because I have a lot of kids. I've dealt with so many kids. But I've told my son and I've told a lot of other children that your communication can either make you or break you. Your communication can either prosper you or cause your demise. Being able to talk and communicate will get you through open doors, or it will close a door on your face, make a door slam in your face. How you respond, how you react, how you interact, how your interpersonal skills, how you view everything that you do every day in society, and how you carry yourself and communicate. It can open doors, like I said, either open doors or close the doors. For instance, you said an apartment, getting an apartment, getting a car, light bills. Listen, young people got to learn that they see parents, mom and dad paying these bills, and once they get out, they're gonna realize it's not as easy as they think it is. So you may fall short in light bill. You got to know how to pick the telephone up and say, hey, can I make 50% this time and put something down, and then next week or next month pay the other part. But if they get on the phone, hey, I ain't got this or whatever, and with an attitude or nasty, they're not gonna get the best results. Being able to communicate. Go ahead.
Now I know you, and I know you love to communicate. Like you're big on communication. But beyond that, it's like you have mastered the art of transactional communicate in step 1, which is to create. And create relationships, create some sort of connection, create some sort of bond, right? You have mastered that, because I've seen you talk to people, meet them for the first time, and you be getting in places free, getting the best deal on this, the best option on that. So again, you may do it and you don't even realize what you're doing, but it's really transactional communication. So with that being said, like, do you go into them communications with the intent in mind to try to build and connect with the person you're talking to? Is that your method?
Honestly, I'm glad my son is not here because he says I manipulate. He said, Dad, there you go, manipulate somebody again. I'm like, what is it? He said, you're talking to them real nice because next week you're going to need them. No, that's not my situation. That's how it is. I'm a people's person. So when I see people and we have something in common, or like for instance, right now we're talking, I may sit in the grocery store and talk to someone and I see their child. I'm like, you know what about your child this, your child that? And we start talking. Yeah. If I go into Walmart or go to a fast food place and that person is working in the store, they remember Chamaco. Like, oh, I'm gonna get you a free drink. My son be like, how you get this for free? I know so-and-so. I know. I met him last week, and he just gave me a good deal because that's not me manipulating. That's just me being a people's person and knowing how to communicate, knowing
Yeah.
how to talk. I don't have any hidden motives,
Right.
no type of craziness going on. It's just that I love people and I talk to people, and so they respond back.
But see, we got to put a name to it, right? So because I want people to know that it's an art. It's transactional conversation. It's
Absolutely.
transactional communication. That's what it is. So Carrie Jones had a comment. She said it's never too late to change your language, attitude, or approach.
Absolutely.
You know, she's got older children. She says she's still learning how to communicate with them, and all of them have a different language, and she has to understand how to speak that language. So let's do this right here. I'm big on teaching in real time.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Not necessarily role play. I don't like that term role play, but teaching in real time so we can just show them an example of what it is we're talking about and how vital communication is, right? And so let's say I'm at AT&T. You coming to me, you need a new phone. Okay? I'm the AT&T worker, right? So you coming into me and you want a new phone. So let's just act like, I'm the person at AT&T, you coming to me, you need a new phone. You know coming in that you need a new phone. How would you approach that situation with the transactional communication in mind?
Okay. Hey, sir, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How you doing? My name is Frank. I'm good. I'm the sales associate here at the store.
Hey, Frank, my name is Chamaco. Man, last week, I don't know after my phone, but it just started getting staticky, and now it's no sound at all. I have a warranty on my phone. Is there a way I can get this replaced? So can you look me up in the system and find out what my warranty and insurance covers?
All right, hold on 1 second. Thank you for asking about that. I see you've been a loyal customer with AT&T for a while. How do you feel about the services we provide?
So far, so good. I haven't had no complaints at all, and it'll be very well if you can help me out today. I can continue my good reports for you guys, my good reviews for you guys.
Okay, all right. Sound like we're doing good. You still interested in our services? So I see right here. You've been with us for a while. Your warranty is still now. Your warranty. You know what? It looks like it just expired yesterday, and so per our policy, there's really not much I can do.
Okay. If there's nothing you can do, is there I can speak to a manager? I mean, I just started my job last week. I don't get paid until 2 more weeks, and I really need my phone. My phone is my everything. Without my phone, I don't have no life. So I really need to talk to someone that could help get me what I need to get because I need my phone. I mean, can you? Is there some type of grace period? I mean, I know about my time just in it yesterday, but is there a manager that can override that? Is somebody that can help me today?
Well, you know what? I'm looking at this and it's saying that if you want to extend that warranty that for extra $15.99, you can extend that warranty for another year and it'll lap over. So is that some now that's the best I can do. And I want you to have your phone, you've been a loyal customer. I still want you to have your phone, but that's the best I can do in this moment. Is that something you can work with?
I can do $15. I can do that.
Okay, so what we'll do the 15. We'll add that to your bill for this month, and then we don't have phones in the store. Is it okay if we send you one in the mail? We'll expedite it, and it'll be there overnight.
That's fine. Meanwhile, do I keep this phone? Do I send it back to you guys, or what do I need to do?
When the new phone comes to you, take that box, and it's going to have a shipment label on it where you can return the sender, and you just put it back in that box, and you return that to us.
Man, you have been such a good help today, Frank. I appreciate you so much, bro.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure helping you. Now, one thing I want to point out there that I always try to do is that you call me by my name, Frank. I try to remember people's name when I'm on the telephone because that lets them know in that transaction that you are paying attention.
So if they say by chance they didn't tell you that, you can call back and say, I talked to Frank, and Frank told me so and so and so and so and so. It is so good to know that. And even on your term, I like for people to remember my name, Mr. Bryant. That says I'm a valued customer.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the art of having a transaction. Is like knowing, for instance, I had a conversation the other day. I was dealing with something. Yes, Shirley, it does. It makes it so personal. I love it when I go to the bank or anywhere. Call me by my name.
Yes, sir.
I deserve to be there. Like, you know what I mean? I'm cut. We making a transaction. Call me by my name. I'm giving you some money.
Absolutely.
But I was doing some transaction, and I was dealing with somebody, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just do this myself. So I called the place. Lady answered the phone. I'm already in transaction mode. I'm listening to her tone. Hello. That lets me know she excited. Hey, how you doing? Your day going good? Yeah, my day going good. So see, I'm picking up on that already, and it can go either way. That it can be down or it can be up, but I'm gonna still flow with that. So we engaged in conversation. I told her who I was. I had been dealing with them for a while, and when I got in that flow, I was able to ask a series of questions to get an outcome I wanted when they typically wouldn't do it. But because I'm paying attention in the conversation, listening for all the cues, but also hearing what the person was saying, I was able to get the outcome that I was looking for. It's about making connections.
Absolutely.
I don't believe a person hears you adequately if there's no connection of some sort.
I agree.
Talk to me about that. What you think about that?
Let me tell you this. One thing I learned since we're talking about youth, one thing I learned is you have to build a relationship first before you can get any person to do anything. One thing that I was gun ho on doing when I worked with my kids in the school system, I worked with each individual student first. Before I took them on job sites, before I took them out in the community, before I did anything, my first week or my second week was getting to know Johnny. Then the next day, getting to know Sally. Then getting to know Jennifer. Then getting to know Andre. Got to know each and every person, because when you learn people, you learn their strengths, you learn their weaknesses, and you are building relationship. And once you build relationship, they build trust.
Yes.
Once you get trust, you can pretty much do anything and teach them anything.
Yes.
And I had to realize that, yes, I'm a person of authority in the school system, and I'm a leader to them, but they also have leaders at home.
Yes.
And leaders at home sometimes fail.
Yes.
And if you have a failed leader at home, sometimes kids they bring that same energy to the school, and they look at you as, oh, he's just like my dad, or he's just like my mom. But when you build that personal relationship, and they can trust you and realize, hey, this ain't mom, this ain't dad, this person have my interest in mind. And another thing I had to realize is that a lot of kids have been abused at home. And we don't know what they're going through at home. And so we have to show a difference where we act versus from home, and then they build trust. And I found out a lot of my kids had more trust in me than they did their own parents.
Yes.
I did not demonstrate the negative. They didn't see the negatives with me that fit at home. So I am a true believer and a firm believer that there's trust and relationship, then there is activation. There's trust, relationship, then there's listening to what you say.
Hold up, time out. You drop a nugget like that, we have to stop. You said that there's trust, relationship, activation, or something like that. That stood out to me. Talk to me about that.
Because listen,
relationship, trust, activation. Talk to me about that.
I can sit and talk to someone all day long, but it could be blah 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 blah. But when they have seen me and they trust me, then they can start taking in what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When they're taking what I'm saying, then they can act on what I'm saying, because they see that what I'm saying work. They see, well, Mr. Bryant got this, he's done this. Let me follow him. He may not be too crazy out there. He may not be like this or whatever. So when you build relationship with someone, period, creates a pathway.
Come on.
When you have a path, when you create a relationship with someone, you allow someone to get on my journey and walk with me.
Yeah.
Point blank.
And you know what? And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna fuss at you for all the children and youth in the world. They don't like being called kids.
That's a kid.
Yeah, but this is, you said something powerful. Not only do they get on your pathway, but you get on their pathway.
Right.
Because you're not jumping in their life telling them to do it your way. You're getting on their level and being able to take what they have and give them understanding and guidance with their skills and abilities and move forward simultaneously with you while you're still coaching and teaching.
We're walking together.
Walking together, and that's the beauty in the new approach. You know, I remember working in probation, and this kid came in. He was a drug dealer, and we had these carry guides that we used to use. And one of the skills is how to help a drug dealer take that hustle of being a drug dealer and turn it into, you know, some other skill. And I when I first seen that, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool, right? And so you'll be surprised what you'll get when you go in there and have that conversation like that, and the young people like, so you ain't gonna judge me because I sell drugs or I used to sell drugs. No, I'm trying to take the tools that it take to sell drugs and get you to probably make more money doing something the legal way, and you ain't got to look over your shoulder. Absolutely. You know, you're on probation. If you violate, you already know what's gonna happen with that. I mean, we ain't got to discuss that. But if you take that skill, you packaging, you understand what I'm saying? Like, you coordinating, you making drop offs, you building relationships, you doing all kind of stuff. You know, you could use those skills doing something totally different, you know. And so, go ahead.
You said something earlier about being judged, and it took my mind to my very first job in the school system. I worked at alternative school in Fayetteville. Now, I was nervous because I was like 19 and fresh out of high school, going right into working with alternative kids that was bad. Yeah. I mean, well, I don't call kids bad, children bad. But they were kicked out of public school and was sent to alternative school because they could not stay in the main floor of school.
Right.
I was sent there, and I'm looking at children that were bigger than me, taller than me, and sized me up as soon as I walk in the classroom. So I'm like, wow, this is going to be interesting. Do you know the entire school year I watched them? I think we had crisis teams that would come in if the kids got crazy. They drug them out, and a lot of times they got in the kids' face too.
Wow,
I never one time did that.
Yeah.
And I had those thugs, the mean ones, wrapped around my finger. And I would, in my mind, like, how did it happen? I think judging children, they see that and they notice that.
Yeah.
If I read, and it got to a point, I wouldn't even read children's bio or read where they come from because I didn't want to know history. I wanted to build each relationship personally. Right. I didn't want to see that Johnny strangled his mama last night.
Right.
I don't want to see that Sarah put drugs in the soup and try to dad. I didn't want to see that. I wanted to meet each kid for who they were, and I dealt with them without judgment, without anything that I have read, and I built a relationship with them to where when the crisis team wouldn't work, the principal was calling me, Mr. Bryant, can you go talk to so-and-so?
Yeah.
Can you go talk to Josh? Can you go talk to Sarah because they won't talk to anybody else? I remember one situation at a high school. This dude experienced his best friend head blown off.
Wow.
Bad part of town. He come into class. He come into school. He shouldn't have came to school that day. He came to school the very next day, puffing and puffing. Went through the cafeteria, throwing everything in the cafeteria. The principal was going to throw him out of school. I get to school. The principal said, "Mr. Bryant, I'm going to take Cruz out." I'm like, "What's going on?" Like, I'm suspended. I said, "Just let me talk to him. Give me 5 minutes with him." I went in the classroom, talked to him. It was like he sat and waited for me to get there.
Yeah.
I got there and I said, "Dude, what's going on?" "Man, I hate this effing school. The school's no. I know you may not like the school, but you ain't like the school today. You've been in the school all year.
Right.
What happened last night? What happened to cause you to come to school like this?"
Right.
He calmed down and he broke down and started crying.
Yeah.
And he told me that he witnessed his friend being shot in the head.
Yeah.
And he came to school. Mind you, there's no parents in his life. He's been raised by his uncle. And his uncle didn't really care. His uncle's out on drugs. So he got up, got dressed, and came to school on his own.
Yeah.
And came to school with all that built up anger.
Yeah.
And I had to talk to the principal to get the principal to understand where he was coming from.
Right.
And not suspend him.
Yeah.
I had to advocate for him. And he wasn't able to self-advocate. He wasn't able to tell the principal, hey, I'm having a bad day today. I shouldn't have came to school, but this is what's going on.
Yeah.
That is why we're in place.
Yeah. And
I took the place of the crisis team.
Yeah.
I de-escalated the problem and had to walk with that kid all day long until he was able to function by himself.
Yeah. And again, having this conversation, talking to the people that are viewing, young people who may listen, communication is so vital. It's so vital to be able to get your point across. It's so many young people that they don't even understand how to communicate to get their point across.
Absolutely.
And so many times if they have a question in school and they want to ask the teacher a question and they want to dive deeper, they just get shut down or they shut down because it's hard for them to articulate. And so it's important as parents to not always look at your children as if they're talking back to you. Dig deeper in their thoughts. Allow them to speak and help them kind of comb the kinks out of their speech if you feel like kinks are there. Help them iron that out more. Help them iron that out more so when they go to school, when they go to the park, when they go to the YMCA or football games, basketball games, they can communicate with whoever. If the police come up to them, they know how to communicate effectively and have a conversation and dialogue and not be popping off because they in fear. Teach them how to communicate when they're in distress. Walk through these scenarios with your children at home. Baby, this is what we do when we feel fear. We're gonna walk through that, how you can still communicate. Just let the officer know, listen, sir, I'm scared. I'm scared. I really want to communicate with you, but right now I'm scared. I don't feel safe, and see what the officer can do to help you feel safe. It's so many ways we could do that, but we have to get this younger generation, even the older generation, to come out of that thing you in that just make you want to be in your way. That's not getting you the result that you want. We have to get a different result somehow and not keep complaining about some of the issues that we see in our community. What are your
thoughts? That's so true, man. I'm so glad you said that. Like I said earlier, I'm still a learner. I got tickled earlier because I'm trying with my son. I'm gonna tell you. Old school and new school going against each other. So I'm trying my best to I'm learning.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, Josh, tell me how you feel.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna tell you how I feel because if I say this, you can sound disrespectful. Josh, listen to talk freely. But Daddy, I don't think that makes sense what you just said. Okay. So I'm having to listen. But tell me how you don't think it makes sense. I said, and can you say it differently? Say you don't understand what I'm saying. Don't tell me that don't make sense. And even me saying that is like, forget it. He's not gonna say it. Because he want to say it the way he want to say it.
Right.
And honestly, I want him to be able to, and I don't have to worry about it because Josh was very outspoken.
Yeah.
I want him to filter his words when he's talking to me.
Yeah.
I want to be able to be expressive, and he's very expressive. But at the same time, I'm trying to keep my feelings and my offense out of it because I'm like, Joshua, I work with kids that's 2 times bigger than me, and they don't disrespect me.
Right.
I think it's disrespectful when you say so and so and so and so.
Yeah.
He don't think it's disrespectful. Josh is an only child, so he's always raised with adults.
Yeah.
Always in our conversation. So he has adult language. He has adult content. He has adult interaction. So it can be very difficult for him to talk under my level.
Well, you just communicating with you when you communicating with Josh, and I think if you learn how to deal with yourself when you're dealing with Josh, it'll be better for you.
Goodbye. But you're right. I mean, I'm learning. 20-something years working in the school was great experience, but there's not an experience like having my own experience with my son.
Yeah.
It has taught me a lot. It has taught me how to kill old Chamaco, and develop a new way, develop a new pattern, develop a new structure, develop a new system.
Yeah. And I can't tell you, and I'm gonna say this and then we're gonna start wrapping up. I believe it'll take a lot of stress off of families and parents too. Because all of that getting wound up and that energy, just chill and be in coach and training and parent mode, not not disciplinarian or this authoritative role. Just
Right.
be a loving parent, and
True.
and parent from that love spot, right? Like you can still issue a consequence, right, in a loving manner, and it have the same effect. I don't know. We get somebody yelling. I mean, what you gonna take the game from the child and yelling and take the game? The yelling doing something for the parent because they ain't doing nothing for the child.
Absolutely. Let me tell you this: a takeaway that me and Josh learned when we went to San Antonio to spend the week with you guys. Joshua loves when Cindy said, "Jacob, make better choices." He's been saying that nonstop. Make better choices. I'm gonna use that. Make better choices. That's a better way of saying that was so dumb. That was stupid.
Yeah, right.
It's like I want you to use what you have, the ability that you have. Use it.
Use it because that's what's gonna create the independence. Because
Right.
when that child is not with you, they're gonna dig deep and say, okay, was that the better choice?
Right.
I remember what Mama said. Mama didn't pop me upside my head, but she said, make better choices. So is this the best choice? Right?
And in her tone, it made him think. That was corrective enough. He
right.
said, make better choices. He was like,
yeah.
He understood that meant I'm wrong. Let me not do that no more.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. And that's all you need. You don't have to, because all of that old school disciplinary way it worked for that time period. It really did. But we had the people that were getting those spankings and stuff. We had something different on our mind. The young people they got something different on their mind. The world that we're sending them out to, we got to do something different to be able to hold them accountable, but also develop and grow them at the same time. We just have to do something different because we want to set them up for success. Listen, just to recap, transactional communication, four points, 4 goals within that. Create, form, shape, and engage. From now on, when you're talking to somebody, remember, you're not just talking, you are communicating. You are a communicator, not a talker, a communicator. And you want to get something out of the communication, out of the conversation. I don't want to just be talking to Marco, and then when I end the 20-minute conversation, we ain't did nothing. I ain't got nothing from it. He ain't got it. We just wasted 20 minutes.
That's it.
And so we want to be able to sharpen our young people, sharpen each other. Be a parent. Enjoy your children, man. Enjoy them. You know what I mean? Like, that's the greatest gift you can have. Enjoy that relationship with them. Listen, any closing thoughts, Chamaco, before we wrap it up?
Listen, no, this was wonderful. This is wonderful. I can't wait to do a part 2, part 3, because there's so much we can uncover, so much we can talk to our youth about and assist them with. One thing you said is enjoy your young kids, your young children. There's times I'm in my room watching TV, and I turn my TV off and tiptoe in Josh's room and just jump on the bed and just do all kind of crazy. Dad, what's wrong with you? You so hyper. I'm like a big kid sometimes. And I enjoy those moments because Josh is 16. In 2 years, he'll be 18.
Yeah.
Soon he'll be out. And I want to enjoy all the moments that I can with him because these are his moments. These are the moments that he's gonna reminisce back in the day. Me and my dad got along good. Me and my dad cut up. Me and my dad did this. Me and my dad did that. If a kid does not have a memory of the good things they had with their parents, kids,
Yeah.
you have a kid that can be a menace to society.
Yeah, you can create something for real that's negative.
And so I was talking to someone today, real brief, and they could not remember positive conversations with their mom and dad.
Wow.
Which caused them to be kind of bitter
Yeah.
all their life, angry,
Yeah.
and ready to pop off.
Yeah.
I had to discover, like, hey, well, how was your relationship with your mom? Well, I never talked to my mom like that. Well, how was? That's your problem.
Yeah.
You didn't communicate. And she's like, wow. And a lot of times it's hard to think about that and hard to swallow that. But the issues that our youth is having, a lot of time reverts to the parents. It goes to the parents.
Yeah.
How the parent relationship. So one thing I think I heard Larry say, or was on the show, one thing we should be able to give our kids is how did he say this?
I know exactly what you're talking about, but I can't remember. That fits. That'll fit like glue right here. If you can remember what it was, I can't remember.
I mean, trying to figure out. It's the it is
I
a
bet
childhood that is not painful, or a childhood that they don't have to heal from.
there you go. The childhood
they do not have to heal from.
There you go. Yep. Yep.
And I know I have not dotted all the I's across the T's, and I know I've messed up, especially when me and Josh,
wow.
What at the onset of divorce and separation, I know I messed up a lot. It was just me. I was responsible for him mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and I just didn't know how to handle it. So I was just hard dad.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I want to talk to dad or talk to a friend because he was by himself. I was just hard dad.
Yeah.
And so
he got nugget right there, man.
I messed up.
We got to throw that nugget out there. Listen, did y'all hear what he said? We ain't taking no credit for this comment because it originated someone else. Offer your child a life that they don't have to heal from, a childhood that they don't have to heal from when they become older. That's on you, parents. Yeah. And not only that, but it's on you to also do the best you can to prepare them for the transition and the exit out of your home. Absolutely. Right? And so here we are. We want to help. You know, this platform, we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it. We want to help. That's what we're here for. That's what this platform was created, to bridge the gaps, right? To bridge the gaps and to share information, to impart, right? Because we know in those households that are really struggling, that create a lot of these things that we're talking about, those households need help. They need help. They really do. Because of what they experienced as a child that they didn't heal from. Now you got a parent that didn't heal. That's a parent that's probably going to raise a child that gonna need healing, and then you go on and on and on and on and on, and the cycle never breaks. So Marco, man, thank you. I'm like you, man. We got to do another part. You know what I'm saying, to really get into these role plays and just help. You know, what's up, Al High, man? We about to wrap up, man. We appreciate you jumping in though, and really do some role plays to help dig deeper into how we can show the young people how to engage in different conversations about different topics that they may not feel like they have the tools or be equipped to deal with. So, man, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, tuning in to be here on this platform. Everybody that commented, thank all of you for hitting like, for hitting share. We appreciate it so much. Remember, on the 16th, I got another expert coming in. 6:30 Central Time, 7:30 Eastern Time. The 16th of this month, we're talking about the bully. We're talking about not only what the victims need, but we're also talking about what the bully need. Because people bully for a reason. There's something going on that they're masking, that they're hiding, that they don't want people to know about. And they're using that bully tactic to push people away. So we're going to dive into that real deep on the 16th. So mark your calendar around that, you know. So again, thank y'all so much for tuning in, man. Peace out. we go.
All right, man.
Thank you.
All right.